626 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Time for Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt. What's happening, dude?
What's going on, guys?
You know, just chilling.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped because we're about to solve some Baton Rouge crime problems.
Yeah, we are.
And normally I don't get to be a part of the solution. This time I get to be a part of the solution.
Normally you're on the side that exacerbates the problem.
My clients are innocent. But
until proven guilty.
Until proven guilty. I was once a prosecutor.
Yeah. And I need you to put on your prosecutorial hat for one of these topics today. Because the headline, police, several vehicles towed, 2 arrested. They arrested 2 vehicles. 2 arrested and 20 ticketed after weekend street stunts in Baton Rouge. This is a problem that continues to grow. This is a problem that continues to...
This was next level, though. So drag racing is a problem. Mm-hmm. But this was basically occupy an area of town, do donuts in intersections.
But this isn't the first time, though. We'll all remember back to the Garth Brooks concert where they overtook College Drive right near I-10. Right. Okay? This one was, per the story, according to Baton Rouge Police Department, officers responded to St. Philip Street near Pastime and George's Bar to break up reckless driving in the area. A mob of spectators rushed the first police unit to arrive at the scene, blocking it from being able to reach stunt drivers. Police say the spectators beat on the car, causing an unknown amount of damage. This is why it's next level right here.
Right.
By the way, the folks over at Street Demons BR, they put out a checklist of what they wanted their people to do before this even happened. They on their social media, on Street Demons BR.
Was damaged police unit on it?
Block the police units was on it. It said, I think it was like an 8 or 9 item checklist. 2 of the items were, please don't shoot guns. Please just don't. Like, we know how far we can go, and that will be over the limit. Just don't do that. But it said if any cops show up, block them off so we can keep doing what we do. Now, where do you draw the line between blocking the police car and beating on the police car, causing unknown amounts of damage? This got very...
escalated.
Yeah.
Got escalated there.
It was kind of... Bobcat Goldthwait and Police Academy 1 very quickly.
Old reference there.
Yeah.
You see, folks, for those who are riding in a car that are under a certain age, Police Academy movies were a fine institution of the 80s.
They were.
Where a series of individuals went to Police Academy, and it was kind of it was a comedy. It was a comedy.
It's definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a comedy.
Steve Guttenberg.
Steve Guttenberg was a Mahoney.
Mahoney.
You had Mahoney. You had Tackleberry.
So here's the deal. I'm gonna break this down for you.
Oh, side note, I can't step to a podium without looking underneath it ever since seeing that movie.
Yeah. So first and foremost,
if you know, you know.
So the first and foremost, the state legislature needs to enact legislation to make this a felony.
Okay.
Because right now it's just a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you start damaging vehicles, then it can become a felony.
Absolutely.
But it's let's just be candid, it's a slap on the wrist felony. You need to make this a felony, number one. Number 2, you need to enact legislation that allows the seizure and forfeiture of the vehicles. These vehicles, Mustangs, like muscle cars, Corvettes,
Dodge Chargers,
seize them, forfeiture proceeding.
Mm-hmm.
Make it to where, you know what, guys? We're not playing.
Well,
because right now you can tow them.
You can tow them. Beyond that, though, it's the bigger problem here is the logistics of connecting somebody back to this.
Well, that's the volume.
Yeah.
Right.
The other problem here is when the call comes in, how's the call responded to? And I want to know if we could change that game as well. We got a break, though. We got to check ABC News. We'll check our local news. We'll check traffic. We'll check weather. Coming back on the other end, let's start to talk about some of the ways that prosecutorially we can get creative with this without violating anybody's constitutional rights. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served at this time every Wednesday, and we will continue right after ABC News. So if the call comes in...
Did you see that?
What? Oh, nice and quiet?
Well, it took me 3-5 years.
We started this in 2019.
Yeah, I mean,
2019.
So right,
Tax Day. Yeah. 2019 was my first show. Or was it? Yeah, pandemic hit before I was a year in, and I just re-upped another contract. Guarantee signed up for this shit show again. Amazing.
Way to last. Way to have that longevity.
You know.
So, you were about to ask me something about racing?
When the call comes in, and this is more procedurally from BRPD than it is from a prosecutorial standpoint, but I want to ask if it's harder to convict. Call comes in. Hello. Yes, I was frequenting George's bar across from the pastime, which is why I'm using an old lady voice, so I'm not outing myself. I was frequenting.
Wow. You see, Alondra, George's Bar downtown is a LGBTQ friendly bar.
Yeah.
Is it LGBTQ owned and operated? I don't know.
I don't even know if they're like.
It's like the downtown
I
splash.
don't even know if they include the T in this because they're like old school gay.
Okay.
That's
Baton
like,
Rouge gay. So point being, I think the problem is
after a dusk at a Breck Park.
I think what the problem is, trying to get it back on the rails. So the problem is, one, I don't think people have thought out how are you going to prosecute spectators for spectating?
Yes.
But it's problematic, right?
Okay, but there's
Because what you're essentially saying is if you're downtown and you see all this going on, and you stop and you start recording it, or you just watch it, you could be arrested for spectating.
But can you be? At what point are you participating in a riot?
Well, I think this one's easy because delineating the let's stop the police car and damage it.
Right.
That's too far, guys. Blocking the roadway.
If you were a spectator to somebody breaking the law, what does that make you?
What is a spectator?
But you're a spectator to somebody breaking the law.
This isn't Seinfeld. You have no affirmative duty to do anything.
There's no good Samaritan law.
There's no good Samaritan law. You're not Jesus. There's no good Samaritan law.
Well, Jesus wasn't the Samaritan.
Jesus was the individual trying to help the Samaritan.
Yes.
The spectator, if you will. But he did more than spectate. Actually, the Samaritan was the spectator.
I'm thinking of the Samaritan woman at the well.
Oh, that's a different Samaritan. She was a whore.
No.
Samaritan was the guy that helped the good Samaritan. Yeah.
The good
Whoa. The chick at the well, she had some rep. She had some rep.
Really?
She was married, not married.
Yeah.
Not a whore. Not a like working girl whore.
Right.
Not Julia Roberts. I take that back. There's nothing wrong with being a working girl. That word whore feels.
Why do you have to take that? Why do you have to walk that back?
I don't know.
You don't think there's something wrong with that?
Not like drag racing. My son asked if drag racing meant drag queens racing downtown. And I said, it's a good question, son, but he's 7. He's 7. The running of the drags.
And that's why you don't take him to drag queen story time, right?
Is this the commercial?
Vin Diesel.
Where he
RuPaul. The Fast and the Bi-Curious.
Cue the Limp Biscuit music. rolling. Alondra's not playing today.
She's doing her job.
Well, we have in New Orleans, we have the running of the bulls. Right?
What?
In New Orleans, don't we have the running of the bulls?
The running of the bulls is in Pamplona, Spain.
No, I thought we had something called the running of the bulls. And no, wait,
That's the red dress run.
That's the red dress run.
I ain't even get my water.
Let's be honest. If Baton Rouge had a drag queen race, you wouldn't blink an eye. You'd be like, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do I have, Alondra?
Is there drag racing near I-12?
Shit.
Is there drag racing near Sherwood and I-12?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hear it in my area, but
Yeah. I'm shocked because
I hear Episcopal.
South Harold's Ferry Road would be perfect for this.
It really would, because I mean it's a long stretch. How long does it go? I mean,
I mean, if you run from Sherwood to Millerville, that's what, 2 miles?
I don't think there's lights.
It's a 2-mile stretch.
Is there lights?
There's no traffic lights in between there. You got the park you can stop off at.
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
You got the park you can stop off at. I mean, if no one's being raped.
It was an isolated incident.
It was an isolated incident.
Needless to say, I haven't taken the 7-year-old to the park yet.
It's a great park, though.
It's a shame, too.
We
Broad
need to go-
daylight. Broad daylight.
Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.
Is that y'all's park?
We don't go there much.
Not anymore.
I think a decent little splash pad there.
Is it raining today? Is that what's happening?
More tomorrow than today.
How do you do stations in the rain?
What?
How do you do stations in the rain? Or do you just do the stations in the rain?
When are you doing stations? Oh. I said, like, Easter's over with. Like,
Is there a contingency for that?
that's up to the person who runs stations.
Oh, cool.
Who's running stations?
That's a good question.
.637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, 64 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Mornings with Brian Halliday and rolling right along. Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt continues right now as we do every Wednesday. All right, Franz, we were talking during the break about what prosecutorially can be done. Might have to get a little bit creative on this one. The first thing I would ask would be, like, can you just pick things up from, if BRPD were to change the way they approach these races, like if instead of when the call comes in to 911, there's a bunch of hoodlums out in the street right now, and they're doing a bunch of stunts, doing donuts and what have you. When that phone call comes in, if instead of sending out a unit or 3 or 4, whatever, what if they send up the helicopter first to get a bird's eye view of everything going on, and then full force surround the whole damn thing?
Well, you're a perimeter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trained in police tactics, but
Nor
a perimeter.
am I. Nor am I. Look, my experience here is from watching Miami Vice or CSI Miami,
Right.
or maybe a cop show that isn't in Miami.
So perimeter, squeeze them in, and then just
Now you know everybody who was there.
So
You're not running somebody in a high-speed pursuit up South Acadian to North Acadian and then write a ticket and say, I was nowhere near that place.
do we have the resources to do that with the volume of people and cars?
No,
I don't think we do.
I don't know. They would have to have plenty of
And then-
advance notice to make sure everybody's on duty.
And then the other issue is what crime are you allowing because you do that? Because if you're focused on that, I mean,
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. I'm not saying you're sacrificing a whole night to get this done, but an hour or two, huh?
well, you got to know when it's happening.
Right.
Which, I mean, police have
Where
intel.
it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, police can get intel. Somebody will snitch at some point. The bigger issue is going to be somebody's going to get killed.
Right.
And then it's going to become a retroactive, like, why were we allowing this?
Right.
Why were we letting this go on? Why didn't you stop it?
And the other hard part here is that when they all scatter, Franz, the number of them who just leave town until the next time.
Mhm.
It's not like when they all scatter, they're all going like,
But do
hey,
we have intel about that? About where the actual, because you say that, like, how do we know that? Like, how do we know that these people are from Livingston? I'm
no,
not
no,
hating
no,
on
no, 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 no,
Livingston.
no, no, no,
Like-
not just Livingston,
Like-
Mississippi,
Okay.
Texas. Like, they're coming in from everywhere for this stuff. So I don't know how you.
So Sonny,
It's not like they're like, okay, let's all scatter and then we'll reconvene at the Waffle House on Airline.
so Sonny says there's an Instagram and Facebook group.
There are.
That's,
Free Team is BR on Instagram. If
Yeah.
you're not following,
now you could
should be following them.
you could find out who those people are and
Uh-huh.
criminally prosecute them for
Really?
large scale conspiracy. You
Okay.
can RICO.
Oh.
I don't seldom do I get to use that word.
I know.
RICO. As we learned from Dark Knight, in a RICO charge, you can charge all the criminals with a conspiracy.
Right. Everybody in the courtroom all at once.
Yes.
So, aside from the Instagram following, once you're on scene, it gets difficult because if you pursue one person, 10 others run. How do you?
It's like Hydra.
Yeah. So if you're doing this, if there a way to establish a perimeter, narrow in on them, and get everybody who's sitting around there.
Same tactics that we've always used to deter crime. Like, make an example of somebody, put him in jail, because that stops the crime, right?
No, it doesn't, Franz. And the thing
We're
is,
not being sarcastic.
you were being very sarcastic, and it was. You make an example of one person, and 1,000 others feel like they got away with something, and they're further emboldened by it.
That's the problem,
Right.
with this.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the infrastructure is not designed to have a massive quantity of people. Like, look, we couldn't stop a whole bunch of people from storming the United States Congress.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No.
We're talking about stopping drag racing.
To be fair, half of those cops just said, "Come on in."
Well,
Half of them tried to stop it. Half of them were like, "Yeah, you know what?
help yourself."
There was not a concerted effort to try and stop that. There were efforts, but not a concerted effort to try and stop that.
How many helicopters do we have? I know we're one, and I don't mean
No,
it
I know.
I mean,
So, I asked the chief yesterday if I was like, was that our only helicopter? And he said no. I didn't follow up with how many more do we have, but you would have to think if we have at least one more with BRPD, state police would have one or two that
Right.
we could have access to. Like if you were to pool the resources of BRPD, East Baton Rouge Sheriff, and state police, when you get one call about this is all going down right now, this can get done. And if you arrest everybody all at once and throw them all in jail all at once,
well, right now it's a misdemeanor.
I understand.
Well, there's felony crimes it could be, but right now, drag racing at its core.
Mhm.
Now, is this insurrection? Is this a federal crime? Ooh, feds don't play.
The thing is, I think the next level of getting everybody thrown into a cell for a day or two is the biggest deterrent here, because if you're driving in from Texas or you're driving in, let's say you're just driving in from Denham Springs, if you're not able to get out that night to go back home, it changes your mind the next time around. Do I really want to go back into Baton Rouge and risk?
I'm willing to bet that these drivers are freaking dandelions, and making them spend a weekend or a week in jail
Right.
will be a life-altering experience for them.
Yeah.
They're dandelions. And by that, I mean they're not hardcore criminals.
No.
They're individuals that have nice, and I use that in quotes, nice cars.
Yeah.
Probably people who work in plants, probably people who have real daytime jobs.
Right.
That if their employer were to find out that they were doing this,
That would be trouble.
Yeah.
So can you, even if prosecutorially you don't end up with a bunch of convictions,
I think you take
it's
their
just
toys.
a mass arrest.
I think you take their toys.
Yeah.
That is what these individuals are going to understand. And look at me sounding like a prosecutor.
That's why I asked you to put on your prosecutor hat today.
You take their toys, you seize their toys, you forfeit their toys, and I assure you it will reduce the amount of this. Now, you'll have to litigate all that. You'll have to enact laws that allow that.
But who cares at that point? If your batting average drops below 500 on
What's
that
a
one.
Mustang go for?
Oh, I don't know.
What's a Charger go for?
I don't know.
What's a Corvette go for? Corvette might be like up there.
So another part of this is that police suspect that hundreds of vehicles use fake license tags during the weekend takeover. Jim Urdialis from Mestizo told WBRZ, he said, hold these people accountable because you could see the destruction that they're doing to the city. And I could show you about 4 different spots in Baton Rouge that this whole thing is going on all the time. But we're doing nothing about it. See, that's not true, Jim. They're doing something about it. Just
Jim,
it's
when
not
Jim
as
made
large
the
scale
video,
as it could be.
Did you watch the video?
Yeah.
Jim made a video.
He was angry.
He was angry, amongst other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and I love Jim.
No,
I mean, I share his sentiment because like there's crime, and then there's like, wait, why are y'all drag racing? Like,
Right.
This is a neighborhood, or this is a.
So the WBRC story says, while BRPD has pledged to take steps to punish those who take part in dangerous street stunts, arrests have been sporadic. Over 6 months ago, the Metro Council adopted a new ordinance making harsher penalties for these kinds of performances and those who participate. Metro Councilman Aaron Moak says, we've taken the laws that are on the books for drag racing, and we've enhanced those twice now by working with the mayor's office, working with the police department, and working with other law enforcement agencies. We've maxed out everything that we know right now to the extent of the law, and that includes bystanders that are seen participating in this. that they could be affected by these new laws also. You take all that together, there's got to be something with enough teeth to be a personal deterrent, not an overall deterrent, because nothing's going to deter someone who's not involved in this one from doing the next one. But if you can stop the person involved in this one from doing the next one, you're getting somewhere.
So the bystander laws are going to be problematic because you take downtown Baton Rouge. You take downtown Baton Rouge where you want people downtown. You want people spending money downtown. You want people going to bars and going to music downtown and going to events like Live After 5 downtown. Right. How do you distinguish those people from the people that are bystanders and or participating in the actual criminality? That's going to be problematic.
Yeah.
The easier solution is going to be, I'm telling you, enact legislation that takes the toys. I'm surprised Jeff Landry hasn't done this yet.
He'll be on next week. We should ask him then. Coming up on 647 at Talk 107.3 FM, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to check traffic. We're going to check your money now. He's attorney Franz Borghardt, legally served. We'll pick up after this right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Okay, I'll make that up later.
So I go to get x-rayed yesterday based on what we were talking about earlier, my stomach. And I walk in, the x-ray tech's like, take your pants off. And I was like, I don't get like a dinner and a movie first. Like she'd had a long day, and I don't think that she found my humor to be humorous. Thanks, Audra. You know, the x-raying of your stomach, I thought was going to be like scary, like MRI painful kind of thing. No. I just laid on a table. I've had an MRI before. I've had an MRI of a shoulder where I didn't fit in the MRI machine. That hurt. I was bigger then. That was 2013. I was much bigger. Hey, Facebook. That feels appropriate based on some of the things we've talked about. Now, Sonny points out something I like. Sonny's like, this isn't drag racing. This is blocking intersection and causing chaos. Now, that is where you get to the felonies, because there's probably obstruction of highways laws that would probably come into play that I'm willing to bet that they're low-level felonies. But again, it's not, none of this is going to be, quote unquote, like, scare the poop out of you to stop. Sonny writes, I got a torn calf muscle and they needed an ultrasound. I'm in shorts and they made me strip and went up and down my both legs. Maybe you have a civil suit there, Sonny. I don't know.
So, I'm not a part of this. Problem comes in, when do you make the call? Because if it's raining at 4 o'clock, that doesn't mean it's going to be raining.
I think that's the only the thing that strikes me as the most moving parts from the outside looking in is candlelight.
Turn the mic off.
And You can seize vehicles if there's drugs in the car. I would be shocked if there's meth in any of these cars. I need a muscle car. Can't you see me in a muscle car?
Nope.
You see me more in a minivan.
No, I see you exactly in what you're in.
The large SUV.
You're still in, yeah.
I think a mid-sized SUV would be more me. I drove a truck for a while. You didn't know me. I had a truck for a while. I had an F-150.
Yeah.
It was an overcompensation thing. I'm not a truck guy. I think you can be me and have a smaller truck that's not really a truck. Yeah, like not really a truck, but like you want to be in a truck and you're like, oh, bless your heart.
By the way, you posted up that Devil's Advocate picture, and you've been talking to Sonny all morning. How about a shout out for making the picture?
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
That was a great picture.
652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Attorney Franz Borghardt in for Legally Served. We're still at 64 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We kind of need to close the book on this topic because we've got another one to get to. But Aaron Moak, Metro Councilman Aaron Moak in the story says often these things are hard to shut down because of how spontaneous they are. If social media is the problem, can social media also be the solution here?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, no matter who you round up after the fact, there's probably going to be comments, likes. Okay.
Can I have
Street Demons BR posts up, hey, we're going to go to the corner of South Harold's Ferry and Sherwood, okay? And that's where it's going down in an hour. And everybody who likes that post, is that probable cause to arrest them when you get there?
Liking a post is not probable cause for anything.
You like the post and you're on the scene.
So here's my question. Between us chicks,
Are the police one chicks? It's not that kind of drag racing.
Are the police really taking this that serious? I know citizens are fed up with it. I know the optics are we have to take this serious. Until someone dies, are we really going to take this seriously?
No, I think they are. Ever since the Garth Brooks concert, when you had that many people in town, and we were on, if you'll pardon the pun, that big a stage, and it was that big of an embarrassment, that the police are definitely taking this thing seriously, but they're looking at A, limited resources, B, a number of, pardon the pun again, roadblocks in the way to making this happen, and C, the speed with which it all happens that Aaron Moak just talked about.
So if I were BRPD, I would use this as a lever to get more money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe make a street racing
street team.
Yeah. If I'm the chief, I'm like, I got a homicide unit, I got an armed robbery unit, I got a drug unit. What crime do you want to suffer so that I can focus on this crime?
See, I don't think we're going to suffer any different crime.
The investigation, okay. The actual.
Well, if Street Demons BR says, please don't shoot, please don't fire your guns off at this event, I would think those that are involved in gun crimes would be involved in this.
Maybe.
Like we just said, I would be shocked if there weren't drugs on the scene.
And guns.
Drugs and guns. So why wouldn't you pull from those two, borrow from those two to make this happen? It's the speed in which it happens, though, that makes it so difficult.
Is this an opportunity for a racetrack? We have a hockey team now. Can we have a Baton Rouge racetrack?
What, you think these people would participate in that?
I'm just saying, is this an opportunity for a racetrack?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why.
Being silly.
No, but you're leading up to a good point, though. If this went down on Choctaw, no one would know. You would take those that are in right now. When it happens on Florida, that's showing up on the air.
Sorry,
it's okay. When this happens on Florida Boulevard, the people in Sherwood, the people in Broadmoor, and the people in Bel Air all hear it.
Right.
Okay? If this were to move over to Choctaw, you would eliminate two of those subdivisions, the two largest of those subdivisions, from hearing about it, and it would disappear.
Use Florida?
Why do they use Florida? Because they want attention.
Well, it's not just that. It's a straight... Florida is...
So is Choctaw.
Yeah, but...
And nobody's there. If they wanted to go do stunts in their own little private world and do their thing... They have that opportunity to do it.
I will give you credit on that statement because I think you're accurate. If you're the kind of person that drives a muscle car that is doing what they're doing, you want to be seen, right? You want to be seen, and Choctaw's not going to get you seen.
And you want to flex on law enforcement.
Choctaw may get you carjacked.
There's nobody there. It's all empty. It's all empty warehouses after a certain point.
We could do a drag racing zone where we don't ask questions, kind of like the Purge.
I think there's a big chunk of Baton Rouge that would actually be in favor of that. If this is your outlet, and you're taking your own life into your own hands, know that 911 isn't coming when you get in a wreck.
North Baton Rouge advocates would love this.
Do you?
No. I don't think Gary Chamber would be like, please bring the drag racing here.
It doesn't have to be in North Baton Rouge. Just find me the street where you won't hurt anybody else.
Yeah.
All right, before we get out of here, take you to Farmerville, Louisiana. 4 months after 5 law enforcement officers were indicted on charges tied to Ronald Green's beating death in May of 2019, all 5 entered not guilty pleas in a North Louisiana courtroom Tuesday. The troopers implicated in Green's death are John Clary, Dakota DeMoss, Corey York, Union Parish Deputy Chris Harpin, and former Troop F Commander John Peters. They've got a stack of charges coming up against them. Franz, I wanted to ask you about this case, not in terms of them pleading not guilty, but in terms of this Ronald Green incident has morphed into so many other things, so many investigative reports, so many potential cover-ups. The original officers involved, are they going to get lost in the mix because of questions like, what did the governor know and when did he know it?
So there's 2 components to this prosecution. There's the what did you do wrong and what did you do to cover up the wrongdoing.
Right.
Both are repugnant, right?
Yes.
But to some degree, when it comes to public trust, to some degree, when it comes to our law enforcement, them covering it up feels like it's worse than the actual crime. Now, it doesn't feel that way to the Green family.
Well, no,
Right.
because Corey York is the only one charged with negligent homicide
Right.
among the 5.
And ultimately, the negligent homicide is a 0 to 5 year felony. What is more startling is, do you have to make an example of the people that covered it up? Do you even get to the governor? Like, is the governor receiving a text message about what's going on, a cover up? I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions.
So I don't think they'll ever get to the governor. I don't say that to make it sound like he's 100% innocent. I just don't think they're going to get there because the way this is going to play out in a courtroom, he'll long since been gone from governor,
Right.
and there won't be a reason to.
Did you see that the governor is trying to abolish
The
the
death
death penalty?
I didn't know if you were ready to talk about that or not.
No.
That could be the entire segment for next week if
Let's
you
do
want.
it. Let's
Okay.
do it.
All right. In the meanwhile, with these 5, do you see convictions coming? Because if you get convictions further down the line, you don't have to worry about the investigation up the line. Or do you see it the other way around where because this has stirred up such a hornet's nest on many different levels that the original players involved are not going to matter?
I think you've got 2 different prosecution tracks. And I
Uh-huh.
think the one that the public's going to care the most about is actually the cover-up. Sadly, that's what people are going to care more about.
Which means the death is not going to matter.
Right. Well, the victims of that crime are not going to get the kind of, yeah. I'm just being honest with you.
I know. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
So I can get such a frustrating answer. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served at this time every week.
Shout out to Sonny.
Oh, yeah. By the way, if you didn't see the picture Franz posted on Facebook teasing the segment, you need to. All right, we got to catch ABC News. Hour 2 is coming your way next. Thanks, brother. All right.
Yes.
We are going to need a new Go Rouge at some point.
Yeah.
Even if it means coming in like midweek and just recording something, chopping it up, like Best of Baton Rouge type of thing.
Okay.
Just as a space filler. Because I air that thing twice on the weekends
Okay.
for free. Like just as
Okay.
space filler.
Okay.
So
I'll get on it. Let me get through Acts.
now I understand everything going on with your mom, and I also understand you're not gonna be able to do it live because of softball. So,
Okay.
but
We'll talk.
just to fill space,
We'll talk.
just one that's evergreen until softball's over with.
I'll give you a best of Baton Rouge. Best of drag racing. I like this idea. I love this idea of a designated safe zone to do this.
It would be fantastic. I would be all in favor of that. I can turn the other way.
Well, this was downtown, right? This was this incident. I mean,
right
this
at the
is-
road to pastime.
right near
Which is
near
not a
Georgia.
good place
near
to drag
Georgia's, and I'm not talking about footboys. So point being is, it's near the interstate overpass, right?
Mhm.
Near. I mean, it that.
You could do stunts in the parking lot Okay.
I'm surprised Brickyard's like, we'll lease out. Brickyard's got a big old parking lot. I'm surprised they're not like leasing out donut space. I mean,
Right. But no, like, that's my point is nobody wants a safe place for an outlet. Nobody wants a place for an outlet where law enforcement can turn their heads because public safety is not an issue. They want public safety to be an issue,
Well, somebody's going to die, and it's going to be a negligent homicide. 0 to
which
5
is not
years.
going to be punished.
0 to 5 years.
And you're going to be in here saying, "Do you really want to punish somebody for a negligent homicide?" Because that's the standard answer.
I didn't.
Right.
Have I ever used that phrase, prosecutorial overreach? I think I used other phrases. I don't know if I ever used that phrase.
Yep, we'll see you.